What stops you from helping every person in this room that's struggling right now, that can't pay a bill, had to miss out on work? How do you help them? What do you do? Because you got a private jet, but I had to take off from work today. And I'm
what are you going to do her?
You from being able to go and help us and change our lives.
That's hilarious.
Because
that's
Let me give you
hilarious.
100 while we're here.
Go take that shit, nigga. You fucking asked for it. At least you had the balls to ask for it. What you gonna do for me? What you gonna do for me? "20 people confront a billionaire." Video by Jubilee featuring John Morgan. This guy, he sponsors a lot of YouTube videos. Morgan and Morgan.
Here, and we've heard you today. I think we've all sat here and we've heard you talk about your jet and Maui and your 3 homes and the money that sits in your account that you don't care to touch. What stops you from helping every person in this room?
Don't that look like the nigga from Could Have Been Records? The one who was like, you know, he was saying all kinds of weird shit. Fuck, what would he say? Oh man, I might put a clip on YouTube.
That's struggling right now. How do you help them? What do you do? Because you got a private jet, but I had to take off from work today and I'm struggling. I got bills, man.
I'm struggler. Like he would say shit like that. Don't slapper me.
I'm John Morgan, the founder of Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
This is an ad. This is a fucking ad for Morgan & Morgan.
And according to Forbes, I'm a billionaire. Ask me anything.
My first question is, how much are you currently worth and how did you amass that amount of money?
I'm a lawyer. I went to law school and became a lawyer, but I'm also a serial entrepreneur. I built and operate a chain of attractions across America. I have Marriott hotels across America. I build shopping centers. The big part of my wealth has been generated by my law firm, Morgan & Morgan. Well, I don't know exactly how much I'm worth. I used to tell my kids when they were little, when their friends would ask them, are we rich or not? I said,
but you got the fucking ballpark. Why don't you just say it?
The answer is this. We're comfortable.
What do you mean comfortable? Like, you definitely have way more than just being comfortable. You live a luxury life.
Do you call being worth $1 billion comfortable?
Very.
Super.
But you don't feel like it because you don't spend it. When you grow up a certain way, it's not like it's changed much in my life. I'm in the same house. I don't spend the money that you would think I'd
The same house as what? When you were just a fucking 100 millionaire? Yeah. I would imagine you don't necessarily feel like you need to buy a new house when you go from being worth 500 million to $1 billion. You know what I mean? The house you can afford at having a net worth of 500 million probably is like the top of the mountain, dude. Like what are you gonna fucking do next? You probably have an elevator in your house.
It's odd because you have all this money in the bank, but it doesn't really change what you do day to day.
My question for you is, what stops you from using your wealth to change somebody?
You know this nigga don't live in the suburbs. You're not about to go down your street and run into JP Morgan.
His life.
Nothing. Listen, I live 3 places. I live in Florida, I live in Maui, Hawaii, and I live in
Let's see
New
if I can
Hampshire.
find a picture of this nigga
I've
house.
taken my wealth and done certain things. Like in Florida where I live, I ran a constitutional amendment twice to legalize medical marijuana. I lost the first time, but I won the second time with 72% of the vote. I believe that income inequality is
This ain't JP Morgan. I keep calling him JP Morgan. His name's different.
number one issue facing America today. The rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. And every day the gulf is getting wider. So what did I do? I ran a constitutional amendment. I spent tens of millions of dollars to raise the minimum wage from $8 an hour to $15 an hour in Florida. That's a doubling of the minimum wage. So I take that money that I make and I've run those constitutional amendments and I've put money into food banks and coalition for the homeless, and it goes on. And I will tell you this, not to pat me on the back too much
His
about
name's
it.
John Morgan.
I don't really
Wait,
feel
huh?
it. I don't really feel it. I was at lunch the other day and this woman walks up to me, she says, John, I just want to thank you.
So let's take a look at this since he don't want to tell you. He's worth about, according to Google, $1.5 billion. Just for some context here, $1 billion is 1,000 million dollars. To put that in perspective for you, a million seconds is about 2 weeks. A billion seconds is about 32 years. So, yeah, a billion is way, 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 way more than a million, man. It's a lot more. But okay, all right, John Morgan house. Let's see what comfortable looks like. Oh, right. Sure. Okay. We supposed to believe this shit. That a nigga worth $1.5 billion lives in this fucking Courage the Cowardly Dog estate. Get the fuck out of here. This is more like where he grew up. Yeah. But his son bought the most expensive mansion in Winter Park. He's like, yeah, Dad, look, if you don't want to spend it, I will, okay? Shit. So this what comfortable look like? God damn, I want to be comfortable. Shit. Let me be comfortable.
You and your wife for the donation you made to iDignity. I didn't know what iDignity was. I said, how much do we give? She said, $500,000. It turns out that my wife had given the money. And by the way, if you want money, call my wife.
Can I work for you?
iDignity is a place
That's what that laugh sounded like.
for the poorest of the poor to get identification, because more and more in this country, you need to have an identification just to get food stamps. I believe when you make this kind of money, you have an obligation to give it back. You don't feel it. It doesn't hurt you. You know, you can look at me and know I'm not missing
This is a PR campaign.
too many meals. So I don't feel like I'm doing anything special.
Look at this. They gave this nigga a fucking throne and shit. This is an ad.
I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
So I'm going to try to rephrase it. What stops you from getting out that car at the moment where you and your son, and you seen the homeless person? What stopped you from changing that person's life?
Well, I do get out of the car from sometimes. When I pull up to a stoplight and there's somebody out there begging for food, even if they look like they've been eating donuts for the last 10 years, I give them money because I'm not going to judge them. I look at them this way.
She just looks so angry though. Look at her.
The last 10 years.
She just looks
I give
like
them
you're
money,
just filthy. You filthy, greedy scumbag. How dare you just, have a fucking successful business and invest and spend your money wisely and make good decisions and partner with the right people and work really hard. And do it for a very long time. How fucking dare you, you scumbag. I hate you. That's what her face says.
I'm not going to judge them. I look at them this way. They're out there on the street.
That's for sure the fucking ER guy, man. From Drewski's Could Have Been Records. That's for sure him, dude. So he just not doing it anymore?
I don't know what they're doing out there, but you know what? It's not my job to judge.
I feel like a lot of billionaires, they say the same thing. They say they do donate, and they do give to people. You give to organizations and large conglomerates that take your money and they break it up and they throw it around. If you're not handing something down to help somebody who really needs it, then what does it matter?
You're in the law field, and that's how you've amassed your network and everything that you've earned. If you had to start over in a different industry, what would you be in order to become a billionaire again?
I don't even know how it happened in the first place. So I keep waiting to wake up, and it was all a dream. I was like, what?
Nobody becomes a billionaire on accident. Nobody just, oh, fuck, shit, how the fuck that happened? I just got $1 billion. That never happened ever in life, ever.
How did this happen? Listen, here's my problem. I suck in math and I suck in science, so there's not many jobs left for me after that. But my gut tells me I want to go to Wall Street and make deals like that. But what I would probably do is stay in the attraction business that I'm in. I love that business because there's no fighting. And I did it as a hobby. I've always thought what I could have done with my attraction and amusement business if I'd had it full time instead of, it was more like collecting stamps than anything, to tell you the truth.
So you made some comments about liking capitalism and how much legislation you did for raising the minimum wage for $15 an hour here in Florida. Is there anyone at your law firm or your multiple businesses that you're paying less than $15 an hour now?
No. And I wasn't paying less then because I believe.
Who the fuck you think works at a law firm for less than $15 an hour? Do you know what lawyers do for a living? That was a dumb question. Does anyone work at your neurosurgeon practice that's making less than minimum wage? All right, guy. Well, that's your one question. You get one chance to ask a billionaire anything, and you ask him that shit.
Living wage is a civil right. I also believe that retaining employees with a living wage and bonuses, it's good for business. I believe by paying more to my employees, I keep them, attrition is lower, and believe it or not, although it sounds...
There's probably not a single person working at Morgan & Morgan that makes less than 6 figures. Come on.
Backwards, I believe by paying more, I make more because I keep people, and my people are really all I have.
So, in your opinion, why aren't other billionaires doing the same thing that you're doing?
Yeah, because he doesn't sell fucking sneakers for a living. If John Morgan here made his billions selling sneakers, best believe he would have hordes of people working for way less than minimum wage. They'd be working for fucking pennies in China.
Some are and some aren't. A lot of people have to, like once I raised the minimum wage here in Florida, all of a sudden, out of the blue, Universal raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour. I kind of took credit for that. At a certain point, when wages start to rise, businesses have to respond because if Universal's paying $15, then Disney's got to pay $15 because who cares if you're running Small World or Harry Potter? You're looking for a job.
So you mentioned a little bit how you've put money into.
Hey, I respect that though. He didn't have to do that. I'm sure there is a deeper reason behind it, and maybe he just genuinely did it out of the goodness of his heart. I'd like to believe if I ever became a billionaire, I would do some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Some charitable shit like that. So, yeah, that's good for him, man. Good for him.
Politics and things like that. And in the current political climate in the United States, our government's run by the billionaires, kind of for the billionaires. What do you think the moral role of a billionaire should be within the United States government?
By and large, the opposite of what it is. These fat cats got so much money, but they want the tax laws to benefit them. Like these hedge fund people don't even pay taxes. And so the billionaires are not satisfied with what they have. They want more and more and more and more. And what my worry is, this income inequality, at some point there's a breaking point. At some point you can become Cuba. And what I would say to these billionaires, you're gonna make this gulf so big and so vast, just because you don't think it could ever happen in America, just remember January 6th. Just remember them storming the Capitol. Those were the barbarians at the gate, and they were mad as hell. And you know what they're mad about? They were mad because they think they're going to fall further and further behind. They weren't mad, and they thought Donald Trump was the one that could do it for them. But that's why they stormed the Capitol. And when I saw it, I said, that could be our future if we let the haves and the have-nots get so separated.
I think everybody knows that probably every single billionaire does evade taxes. And he did say that he wants billionaires to be taxed so high, but I can promise you he probably has found ways to evade taxes.
Back in around like 1940s, the tax rate was around like 90s, higher than 90%, right? Would you be somebody that would advocate to bring back such a high tax rate?
Now that's a fucking good question. That's a good question, right?
Would you redistribute the wealth?
I don't know about 90%.
Now he can, yeah. Let's see all that, kumbaya shit. Let's see that shit go out the window now.
Because you got to have some motivation. Listen, I am a capitalist. I believe in capitalism. But I also believe we have to do the most for the most with least.
So when you mention capitalism, right? Capitalism is kind of inherently parasitical, right? You're going to always take more from the workers. You're going to put a profit on their labor that they're putting into the business. And I think now we're seeing that capitalism inherently causes these income inequalities. So I think we need to expand those social safety nets. We need to increase taxes on the wealthy in order to allow the poor to enjoy, the things that maybe you enjoyed when you were younger and things like that.
Well, look, I agree with you. And I think it's really for these people who are so rich, they're going to lose it one way or the other if they don't. Because look, the thing about, you got socialism and capitalism. Socialism on paper makes a lot of sense. But then you got to count on everybody working. Will they all work? But in the short run, what we're seeing right now with this big, beautiful bill that they're talking about, we're talking about cutting all sorts of benefits to give more money to the
69
rich
years
and dig
old.
our country into
He's 70
trillions
years
of
old.
more long-term debt. And I look at it and I scratch my head. The rich should be taxed bigger and harder. And so the reason I'm more for capitalism is because if you go to a socialistic country like France.
France is not socialist.
France is not?
No. You look at, let's say China. We'll give China for example.
China's not. China's communism. I've been to China.
China's not communist.
Huh?
China's not communist. They're run by the Chinese Communist Party, but they're not.
What are they?
They're a socialist country.
Socialist?
Yes. And you look at their infrastructure.
Hey,
you look
man,
at
I've been to
their
China.
wealth inequality, and it's actually pretty good.
Have you ever been to China?
Have I?
No. Yeah, I'm not even gonna throw my hat in this one. I can't. I don't fucking know. I never been to China.
Let me tell you something.
I actually just spoke to someone recently, a friend, a YouTuber, a young person who's like a pretty successful YouTuber. He recently visited China, and he was like, China is fucking amazing. So I don't even fucking know anymore, dude.
It is,
and he's not like, he loves money. He's a capitalist through and through. But he was like, China's dope. I was like, really? Huh.
Most oppressed country I've ever
no.
been to.
Look, no. China is not oppressed. Look at China. China they have great social safety nets.
You need to go to China and watch the people with their heads down.
This is a completely different China we're talking about. I'm talking
about China today.
I'm talking, yeah. Okay, if we're talking about China today, then no.
Then you have drank the wrong Kool-Aid.
I was like, oh, I'm the only Asian person in the room, so it's like so weird to see somebody kind of like debate about a country that my mom is from. I would have to agree with John more in terms of like China being a communist country.
John, I'm a parent, and one of the challenges I have is making sure that my mindset is not my children's mindset. How do you overcome that challenge as a billionaire to make sure your children have their own mindsets?
That's hard to do because they live with you and they hear you.
Why would you ever fucking want that? Are you that much of a piece of shit that you don't want your kids to think like you? Nah, my kids, I want all my kids to be like my mentality 2.0. You know what I'm saying? Like, we identify all the bad shit that I got programmed with from a young age, make sure they don't get that shit, and all the things that I see reaping good results in my life, instill that. You know what I'm saying? Why wouldn't you want? You must really not think highly of yourself if you don't want your kids to think like you.
Interesting thing about life is you get older, you start listening to your children, you're like, they're stealing all my shit. I said that, I did that. But what I used to tell them is this: when you're watching me, take the good parts and leave the bad parts.
Right.
And the thing I used to tell my kids is the only thing that I want you to be, I don't care what you are other than this, I want you to be a compassionate human being. I want you to put other people first. That's the only mindset.
That's definitely easy to prioritize when your dad's a fucking billionaire.
That I
just want you to be loving to people.
Them to take, and I think that they have done that.
One of my goals, I think, is to make my kids better than me. What's your main challenge that you see as a billionaire making your kids better than you?
The main challenge is that your children do not feel entitled. There's nothing worse than an entitled person, somebody who was born with a silver spoon stuck up their butt.
Bullshit.
And they become
Excuse me. Bullshit. We always get what we take for granted. That's why you take it for granted, because it just comes to you easily. You actually want your children, and I'm not saying you want your children to be spoiled, but you don't want your children to grow up with a mindset that money is hard to make. Money is hard to come by. Things are hard to get. You want them to have the mindset that, oh, it's easy to make money. It's easy to attain the things you want in life. It's easy. You feel me? Some people would describe that as being entitled, but nah, I'm not saying give your children every single thing they ask for. Not at all. And if that's what he means, then I agree. You know, he's spoiling your children rotten. You don't set boundaries. You don't give them any sense of reality that there is some amount of effort that should be associated with obtaining things. But you also got to be careful not to take that to the other extreme. I see people say this shit all the time, especially in the entertainment world. Like, dudes will be millionaires, actors, athletes, YouTubers, and they're like, oh, my kid, I'm going to make him ride an old bicycle to school. It's like, huh? My kid I'm not even going to buy him Jordans. I want him to grow up just like I did so he'll know how to work hard. Nah, you know what I'm saying? That ain't what I'm doing. That's for sure. Like, my kids, I want them to have the perception that obtaining things is incredibly easy. It is not hard at all. It is very easy to get people to like you. It is very easy to make money. It is very easy to have, you know, good relationships, good friends. When you whatever you believe will be your reality. That's how it works. It's not the other way around. People think that the reality that you experience shapes your beliefs, but it's not. It's the other way around. It's what you believe, you prove with how you perceive the world.
Worst person in the world. I never bought my kids nice cars because I knew they were going to be dinged. And you have to make your kids work. You have to have consequences that are consistent. But the main thing you have to do, if I was giving advice as a parent, you got to spend a whole lot of time. It's all about the time.
Yeah. I never bought my kids a nice car. Let me just remind you again what his son's house looks like, by the way. Let me just remind you what this man's son's house looks like. He bought the most expensive mansion in Winter Park, Florida. Yeah. His son drove a beater, I'm sure, to school. No, his son drove a Mercedes to fucking private school and then went to Yale. That he maybe got in off of his grades because he went to such an incredible private high school and got the best tutors. But even if he didn't, daddy can just buy your admission because he fucking donated $1 million and now there's a fucking library. The new wing of the library is named the Morgan Hall. Huh? That's how this shit really works. But of course, they can't, when they're talking to normal people, to regular people, they gotta do this. They gotta pretend. I'm just like you. No, he's not. He's not just like you. He doesn't think like you. That's why he's not in your position. That's the universe is mental. Your experience, your life is a function of how you think. If he thought like you, he would be like you. That's why he's not like you, because he don't think like you. But he has to lie to you and pretend. That's what the elites have always done.
Remember this, your child is one friend away from total disaster. And when you see that friend, you got to separate that friend as hard as it is.
So you just mentioned that when you have a child who is having a friend
that's in the 48 laws of power, by the way. Disassociate yourself from unfortunate people, bad people. People make bad decisions. Stay away from them.
You find them to be not good for them, essentially, that you have to do what you can to separate them. As a billionaire, what does that entail for you?
Well, you can only do so much. I mean, I've only separated 2 friends in all the years. And one was a kid who used to come over and, you know, he just reeked of marijuana.
The fuck was that? You saw that on the stream? Did I do that? Did I make that happen? Did you see that?
And I just had a bad vibe. And I said, look, so-and-so, you can't go over there.
Oh, Dweeb did that. Shout out to Dweeb.
Come over here. My son Matthew was enraged. You can't tell me who's going to be my friend. I said, I'm telling you, you can't go there and they can't come here. But you can't stop them at school. You can't stop them at a certain point. Later in life, I was justified
because this guy. Look at how he's dressed, huh?
You can't stop them at a certain point.
What the fuck is this? This guy's dressed like a gay Martian. Interesting.
Later in life, I was justified because that kid...
That's some shit Prince would have worn.
...that I was worried about, ended up in prison.
I'm someone who works with youth in Orlando. I spend every moment of my days to coach and develop the youth in Orlando. And I work with at-risk youth. And one of the biggest things that I have seen in Orlando is that since medical marijuana was passed as a bill in Florida, marijuana use has become normalized among the youth and those that are underaged. One of the things that you mentioned earlier is that you didn't allow your son to be friends with someone who smoked pot because he smelled loud and he smoked weed. So why would you advocate for a bill like that to be passed when you kicked someone out of your family's?
Medical marijuana is not for children. Wait, do you think, well, I guess he's saying, yeah, it's easier for kids to get now because of medical marijuana, and that may be true. It is what it is, but I don't think, let's see how he answers.
Circle who was smoking weed themselves.
When my brother was paralyzed, they had him on Percocet, Xanax, and everything else.
Fucking checkmate, dude. Goddamn. It's like I work with at-risk youths, and that bill made it more likely for them to get access to marijuana. Explain yourself. Well, when my brother was brutally injured and paralyzed from the neck down and was in so much pain and torment, all of a sudden you're like, fuck, dude. Shit. Yeah. It's like, God damn it. All right, whatever.
The only thing that gave him relief, immediate relief, was marijuana. Listen, I believe that marijuana use at an early age fries the mind. I drug tested my children a lot, and my son Matthew failed that drug test a lot.
Wow.
But here's the difference. Would I rather have my brother taking marijuana gummy or opioids, fentanyl? It's a no-brainer. So I don't think marijuana use is on the rise. Let me tell you something. If you want marijuana today, go to any middle school in America.
Yep.
And we'll have a nickel bag real fast.
Yeah. So do you feel that there's an ethical gray area when it comes to use of marijuana or other drugs in the youth or in adults in our country? And do you think that that leads to potentially a ethical gray area?
Bro, marijuana is nowhere as destructive as alcohol. That is a fact, bro. It's crazy how that stigma still is a thing, that people look at you as more of a druggie if you smoke weed or do edibles than if you have a beer or a glass of wine. Like, alcohol literally makes you make bad decisions, is incredibly physically addicted, destroys your liver, destroys your body, increases your risk of cancer incredibly. Even just one alcoholic drink a week significantly increases your risk of getting cancer. Excuse me. Babe, if you're watching right now, could you get me a bottle of water, please? And so the fact that they are still trying to make it seem like weed is somehow worse than alcohol is insane to me. I know bro over here, he don't want people to ban alcohol outright, like prohibition. Middle schoolers drink alcohol too, dude. High schoolers get their hands on beer as well, my friend.
Billionaire as it relates to other things in your life?
Medical marijuana, no way. Because listen, where I think the unethical conduct is coming from is from the pharmaceutical industry. Marijuana is a plant that was put into earth by...
Grandpa Reezy asks, what are your thoughts on vaping? I think vaping is incredibly bad for you. I think it's going to be the next cigarettes. I really do. They're incredibly unregulated. A lot of heavy metals get detected when people test it and test these various vapes. They're coming out, they're being mass produced in China a lot of the times. And so you're inhaling a lot of bullshit. Also, nicotine is really bad for you as well. Just from a vanity point of view, I ain't gonna lie to you. It causes your hair to fall out. Your skin gets really... It ages you. So you age like, I'm just making this up now. I don't know exactly how much faster, but I would dare say you probably age like 50% faster if you are a chronic nicotine user. And a lot of that comes down to the fact that nicotine is a vasoconstrictor, meaning that it makes all of your blood vessels in your body shrink. And so, and that's a crazy thing with vaping. It's a constant stream of nicotine, at least with cigarettes, which it's still very bad. It causes all the same problems. But at least with cigarettes, you know, a guy will go smoke a cigarette and then he won't smoke again for another 30, 45 minutes, even an hour, even more if he's not a heavy smoker. Might even just smoke a few cigarettes a day. Vaping, you're just all day, every day. Your hair will fall out. Your skin gets all like just dull, and you start to get wrinkly. It's like it's dehydrating you. Your whole body, it's drying you out. On top of that, it's incredibly addictive. And it's one of the worst kinds of addictions because it stops feeling good. It just becomes this thing you need to do. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't even, you get like one good buzz in the morning, and then that's it for the whole fucking day. Other than that, maybe if you have to whatever reason you're forced to go a good little while without vaping, like you're on an airplane or, you know, you're taking finals or some shit. I don't fucking know. But that's not most days. Most days you have unlimited, unrestricted access to your vape. And so it's just, and it's draining you, your money. Nah, dude. Definitely not pro vaping. So I would recommend you quit. Ultimately, it was vanity though that made me quit. I didn't want that shit to fucking make my hair fall out. I didn't want that shit to like make me just look all, you know, old and sick and dead and shit like that. If you're vaping right now, I mean, for me, how I transitioned out, like I said, ultimately it was the vanity that made me stop completely. But I did find that it was easier to transition like this. I went from inhaling nicotine to using like nicotine that you put in your mouth. So dip, pouches, shit like Zen and shit like that. But then here's the thing. You got to transition from that to a tobacco-free nicotine source. So I went from inhaling nicotine to dipping tobacco. I was working construction. I was taking a break from YouTube and everybody was fucking dipping. So it was, you're outside and you're just working in the sun and it's just convenient. You know, you're smoking and shit. You get fucking hot. Went from dip to then I got this like tobacco-free dip. And because they put additional shit in the tobacco that makes you addicted. So it's like you're weaning off of the addictive elements that are at play. And then I found one day I just made the decision to stop and I was able to quit cold turkey. But I don't know if I would have. Vaping had me in a vice, bro. Cigarettes had me in a vice. That shit, trying to stop that shit, cold turkey was hard as fuck. But I did find that it was easier to, you know what I'm saying, cold turkey, tobacco-free dip. That was ultimately where I ended up. Look, man, there are multiple ways to get off of it. And I've never met a person who's been vaping for a long period of time who doesn't want to stop. Never. Because it just becomes this fucking thing that just owns you, dude. And it doesn't even feel good anymore and it's draining your money. You know, so maybe that helps somebody. I don't know.
By God or by nature, and it works. I don't know how it works. I don't know how aloe works, but when you rub aloe on sunscreen, it goes away. So I feel very good morally, ethically, every single way about what I did with medical marijuana. And here's the proof in the pudding. 1 million people in Florida have a card, and guess who uses it mostly? People 65 and older. Go to the marijuana stores, look at the marijuana stores, look who's going in. It ain't kids, it's me.
Yeah, so I'm still really confused about the marijuana thing. I feel like with a lot of billionaires, they do want to care for people, but they really don't want them around them. So that's what I feel that you feel with the marijuana. You're fine with people growing it, you're fine with people doing whatever. But right when it's in your house, you don't really care about the person and you want them not around you or your family.
I'd take a gummy
Again, they're just
every night. It's in my house what are you talking about?
Then why did
Bro's like, I get faded all the time. No, he just doesn't want his children using weed, which is very understandable. You know, it messes with the development of the brain, and you don't want your teenagers doing weed, man. You don't. You're so young. You're so like just filled with energy, especially if you're a guy. You got all this testosterone that's just like your body's just fucking a factory making that shit. You should be sharp, and driven. That's the best time of your life to be sober, dude. Once you get old and are a fucking billionaire or even just, more established in life and your brain's fully developed and whatever, at that point you also get it's easy to get addicted to shit when you're younger. When you're older, you don't really get addicted as easily to things.
you kick the person out of your house?
He was a kid who I thought was not just that he reeked of marijuana. He was a kid who I thought was bad news. I didn't think that he was smoking marijuana. I thought he was selling marijuana. Look, I think all of Matthew's friends smoke marijuana. And so that wasn't the issue. The issue was this guy might be a criminal. This guy is a bad influence. So don't take it the wrong way.
Okay, so you kind of briefly talked on like for-profit CEOs and things like that. I was just kind of hoping to hear your take on the current state of, healthcare and what recently occurred with their CEO.
Before I answer that question, I want to go back to the coach's question about marijuana, just so everybody understands where I stand. If John Morgan was king, I'd legalize marijuana all over the country, and I'd let you grow it at your house. So that's how I feel about marijuana. As far as the healthcare, think about this for a minute. There's only one place that we go ever, and we never ask what it cost. When you go to get your hair cut, what's the cost? When you go to buy a candy bar, what's the cost? When you walk into a hospital, none of us ever ask what it's going to cost. You can get a Tylenol pill over here for $20. It could be $1 at the other hospital. The of the insurance industry by healthcare is awful. It's off the charts. Our pharmaceuticals in this country are way more money than pharmaceuticals in his favorite country, China. And so you've got the healthcare where we don't ask what things cost, and then you got insurance companies who are fighting health.
It is fucking criminal, the healthcare system in America. It doesn't have to be this way. It's actually criminal. Every year that the healthcare system continues to be this unreasonably expensive, overpriced thing in America, it is a condemnation on the politicians that run this country, dude. Because they're the reason it's like this. If all the politicians got together and just decided to pass a bill that changed this shit, they could do that shit like that. But these pharmaceutical companies and these insurance companies, they funnel so much money into politics via lobbying that they're all bought and paid for, dude.
Care. And they're trying to gouge, the hospitals are trying to gouge, the insurance companies are trying to not be gouged, they're fighting, and guess who's stuck in the middle? The person who needs treatment, the person who has cancer, and they're saying, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that. And then what happens? People go postal. People snap.
So would you be in favor then of a socialized form of healthcare in the United States?
I don't know how it will work. Listen,
Every other major country has a socialized form of healthcare.
When Obama was president, he came to my house as president. I supported Obama. I'm on the National Finance Committee for Obama. And one of the things that I really liked about Obama was Obamacare. A lot of people lost their House seats for voting for Obamacare. So listen, I'm all ears about anything we can do to get more medicine and more treatment to people. My brother-in-law is a physician up in Haines City, Florida.
How do you feel about that? Presidents sitting down with billionaires. You have the media tell it, kind of make you feel like Donald Trump is the first time that's ever really happened, right? With a guy like Elon Musk. Then you find out Obama, he was like pulling up to JP Morgan's house. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, he's just playing the game. He was just playing the game. They all do this, man. They all got to do this shit. It just really shows you who really runs the country. I think whoever has to go to the other guy's house, the guy whose house you got to visit, he's the one that runs the country. They're the people that are really in charge. And it's the billionaires, dude. They run this fucking country.
I have a clinic called the Morgan & Morgan Clinic where he runs it, I fund it, and we take care of everybody who has lost in the system who can't get care.
How do you deal with profiting over other people's injuries in your law firm?
Every business is in business to make a profit. If you don't have a profit, you don't have a business. On the other side of me and on the other side of my clients are insurance companies. Insurance companies do this. They take in premiums and they try not to pay claims. When they try not to pay claims fairly, that's when I'm hired. When I'm hired, the people who are hiring me cannot afford.
He's one of the lawyers that people love. The lawyers that will actually get insurance companies to pay out when they don't want to pay out. So he's a white hat lawyer.
Or a lawyer by the hour. And the insurance industry, they live in this world. Deny, delay, defend. Their job is to never be fair with you. The people who come to me at their time of need are people who've had something taken from them.
Oh my
the business
God.
I'm in.
I cannot imagine how infuriating that must be, because most people never use their insurance. You have insurance, you have health insurance, you go an entire year not needing it, and if you do, it's like you fucking got sick one time, you went to the doctor. Like the amount of money you're paying for your health insurance for 1 month would have covered your entire year's health expense if you paid out of pocket, right? And so you go, you're like, but it's the responsible thing to do. And in some cases, you don't have a choice, right? Like with car insurance and renter's insurance and things of that. It's illegal to not have some insurance in some of these instances. And then they're raping you. They're taking so much of your fucking money. It's so expensive. And then they don't pay out when you finally make a claim. Oh my God, dude. I mean, look, I don't agree with violence, as a means of getting the things you want in life, but I see why that one CEO became a target. I'll just put it like that, because people get fed up, man. That shit is fucking evil.
And is being the key to the courthouse for people who can't afford it, taking all of the risk. And believe me, I've lost some cases where I've written off millions of dollars. But at the end of the day, the only thing between me and them getting a fair shake from the insurance industry is what we do, which is take them to trial. So,
hey, Illy Willy, you're just going to have to rewind back in the stream. And I explained my process,
So I never even realized it could be this lucrative until I got in it. But I've also scaled it in such a way that most personal injury firms are like, one-trick ponies in one city. I built mine throughout the entire United States, and by having the scale that I have, my profit got a lot bigger.
You have mentioned before that you make money off of people's injuries and stuff like that. Do you think it's ethical to, I don't want to say take advantage of people, but take advantage of people when they're most vulnerable?
I think what I do is highly ethical. I think that the insurance industry is very unethical. I believe that I'm the difference between people getting back what was taken from them and relying on the insurance company. I believe that what I do is almost, not quite, like a ministry, because people come to me in their most desperate hour, whether they lost their home, lost a life, lost a limb, lost livelihood, and they have no way to fight back. So I can tell you this, I sleep very well with what I do and why I do it, because I am the civil police representing the people who cannot have a voice for themselves. I got into this business because my brother Tim was paralyzed, so I got to see what it's like to be on the other side. I got to see what it's like to be the poor person that's being oppressed. And I'll tell you what, it is the worst feeling in the whole world to be hopeless, powerless, helpless. And when you get to step in and even the playing field and say, hey, that ain't gonna happen. And when they try to give you peanuts, we're like, we're not taking peanuts. When I walk into my lobbies throughout America, when I see those clients sitting there, I see my brother, I see my family, and I want to treat them exactly the way I would have wanted to be treated.
W-ad, Reed.
Do you believe most billionaires and lawyers are compassionate?
I think it all depends on the person. I believe what's helped me in my life was I came from a very difficult childhood with a lot of economic insecurity and alcoholism. Everything bad that you could think happened did happen. But the good thing about those things, if you take it the right way, is those things can generate later in life serious compassion on your part. Whenever I would see somebody homeless, I used to tell my children, just remember this, they don't want to be there. And once upon a time, that was a little girl and little boy eating an ice cream cone, swinging, having the time of their life. And they don't want to be there. And don't judge them because we don't know how they got there.
John, how do you care for your clients when you're done with them? I know your motto is for the people, but...
All right, it's starting to feel like the rest of this video is going to be one long ad now for Morgan & Morgan. In the beginning, they were good questions, but now it's just about, you know... there are a couple of interesting questions left. Let's go to 25 here. What if you lost all your wealth tomorrow? Let's see what a billionaire says.
What would be your next step in this struggling economy? Do you think you could pull it off? Do you think it could be just as successful?
I think if I did this again, I would not be this successful. This has been a series of left turns and right turns, and all of a sudden you end up here. I'm not arrogant enough. I believe that 99% of what's happened to me is luck or blessings or whatever you want to call it.
I'm a pastor, and one of the core tenets
Interesting. Okay. All right.
of many faith systems in the world
That's a good thing to say to normal people.
is a rejection.
I don't believe he believes that though, because everybody who's ever really made something happen will tell you that if they had to do it all over again, they could do it half the speed. You know what I'm saying? I mean, shit. A lot of you niggas watched me build this YouTube channel from scratch, right? We're at 65K in like half a year. And like 0% of it is like impressive to me or surprising. It's like elementary. You know? And so it's once you've done something once, you think it's easy to do it again. So I think he probably, if anything, he might just be thinking of the fact that he's 70 years old now. He's old, he's tired. He doesn't have that youthful energy that he had all those years ago when he first started his law firm. So for that reason, maybe he would probably just do some chill shit. But if he was like, with all the wisdom, all the mistakes, all the decisions he's made and the knowledge he's acquired, if he was like 50 years old, and he would become a billionaire half as fast.
Of possessions and wealth. Do you feel like you had to sacrifice part of yourself or your faith or your family to be able to get where you are today?
Not at all, because my faith has been at the forefront of everything I've done. It's the teachings from my faith guide me not only in my life, but in my business life. And those lessons are fairly clear to me. Do I think I need to take a vow of poverty? I don't think so. If I'd done that, I would have been a Catholic priest. So no, I have never found a conflict in making money in my faith. I think the conflict would be if I made money and didn't use my money for what I've been taught to use my money for. What my goal is I don't live anywhere near what I make,
Yeah.
except, my jet, and that is excess. But I don't live that way, and my goal now is that I think my children are set. I do not want to leave the government one penny. I think that, if you want to see your money wasted, give it to Congress. And what I want to do is I want to do as much as I can while I'm alive, and leaving a huge amount of money into a foundation, and that will say at that foundation, faith without works is dead.
I personally work at my
That's
family's
dope.
cafe, and
Yeah, I recently learned that 90% of wealth is squandered by the third generation, meaning if you become a multimillionaire or a billionaire in your lifetime, statistically, by your grandchildren or great-grandchildren, the latest, 90% of that wealth that you would have accumulated will be gone in the fucking wind, dude. Gone. Statistically. Doesn't happen to everybody, but, you know, most people. So I see now why a lot of billionaires, they do shit like that. They leave a large percentage of their money in the form of foundations and charities and things because, you know, that money gets tied up in a way where it has to be used in a very specific way. You're not going to have some crazy grandson that's going to blow it all on fucking cocaine and hookers and shit like that and gambling. So
I was wondering, how much do you normally tip customer service workers that are in serving positions?
$100. And I'll tell you why. We're a member of 3 different churches, and my wife gives away, I don't even know what she gives to these churches. But I am much more interested in leaving $100 tips for my servers and for the people who cut my hair than throwing $100 in the collection plate, because $100 to somebody can change their day.
Mm-hmm.
I got a case one time where
why this guy making this face over here? What the fuck? That was a W statement. That's W logic. He like looking like what the fuck? He rather, well, maybe he's a Christian and I don't know, or a pastor or some shit like that. Or all of these people are pastors apparently. But fucking yeah, dude. I think I agree with that 100%. You know, giving your waiter $100 tip, giving your barber $100 tip is, I think, goes way further. It's going to be way more appreciated than if you go to some, you know what I'm saying, like relatively successful church and put $100 in the offering plate.
where a little boy was killed by a bus in
And
Jacksonville.
I'm sure if he goes to church, I'm sure he's donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to his church, but you know.
My investigator called me and said, I just think I'd tell you how we got this case. I said, how? He said, the woman met you once. I said, when did she meet me? 5 years ago. Where? It was Christmas Eve at Bob Evans. And I went there for breakfast with my daughter. And she told my investigator, and he left me a $100 tip. That's why she called me. So I don't know where your cafe is, but let me know and I'll come in and
Amazing.
leave you a $100 tip.
You know the fucking waiters fight over it. You know what I'm saying? When they see him walk through there, no, fucking, no, that's me. That's me. That's me. I'm getting that.
Thank you.
That's me. Hey, Mr. Morgan, hi. How are you doing today? Here's the menu, Mr. Morgan. Yes. Oh.
John.
Do you believe it's justifiable to be worth $1 billion while millions live in poverty?
No. If I could undo it all and let us all be the same, that's what I would do.
Okay, and do you believe, because I heard something about how you don't agree with the government spending, which I actually do agree with, so how would you split up the money?
The most to the most with the least. I believe that there are people that are, and I don't believe it, I know it. When you go out to the Morgan Hunger Relief Center, the people that are walking in there are not the homeless. They're walking in there dressed in work clothes with their children to get free food. And it's an abomination.
Yeah, because I go to the University of Florida because I remember you mentioning it. And one thing I've noticed as a college student is that there is a lot of corruption throughout it, from the president, even from student government funneling millions. And then when I look into to see what happened to them, nothing really happened. They didn't go to jail or anything.
Look, the University of Florida, they hired this president who was just a buddy of the governor's, and he came up there and raped the University of Florida and took so much money, and he's still on the payroll, Ben Sass.
Yeah, that's what a lot of college students are talking about.
It's an outrage.
Y'all peep that? Oh, this dude in the blue. That's such a fucking sensitive generation. That is a thing now. Like, he said the word raped, and he fucking damn near had a stroke.
What a lot of college students are talking about.
It's an outrage. And by the way, when you Google Ben Sass, this president who was just a buddy of the governor's, and he came up there and raped the the University of Florida and took
Like, look at him. He's like, oh my God, you said the word rape. Oh, that makes me feel weird things inside because it's a bad word, I think. It's not a bad word. It's a word that describes, you know what I'm saying? Forcefully forcing yourself upon somebody, you know, and defiling them and violating them.
so much money, and he's still on the payroll, Ben Sass.
Yeah, that's what a lot of college students are talking about.
It's an outrage. And by the way, when you Google those articles, the alligator, I'm all over those all over those articles, ripping him a new.
So you just mentioned that everyone's a politician now, but you also said that you also have done at least 2 different things with legislation. So would you consider yourself to also be a politician?
Sorta. You know, everybody wants me to run for governor of Florida right now. When I'd go to the White House, they'd take me over to the side and show me polling on me. And there's a side of me that thinks I could be good at it, but then there's a side of me that really enjoys living in Maui half the year. So I became sort of a politician because, listen, they were fighting me.
Bro is so mad. Oh my God. This dude is so mad just because he shit on China. He ain't even got over that yet. He has not gotten over that one exchange where he's like, have you been to China? And he's like, no. It's like, fuck this guy.
I became sort of a politician because, listen, they were fighting me hard on the minimum wage. They were fighting me hard on medical marijuana. And I was out debating sheriffs, and everybody I was debating had a green suit on and a gun. So it's like, you know, a little hard to debate them. So I was sort of a politician because I was in the political realm. And that's why all this talk about me, about people wanting me to run for governor is percolating.
So today, I think we've all sat here and we've heard you talk about your jet and Maui and your 3 homes and the money that sits in your account that you don't care to touch.
Cooler.
I think we all have experienced at some point in time that moment that you talked about as a kid, sitting there hoping and praying that somebody would help you. So I guess my question that you didn't really answer, you just told me how much you have. What stops you from helping every person in this room that's struggling right now, that can't pay a bill, had to miss out on work? How do you help them? What do you do? Because you got a private jet, but I had to take off from work today, and I'm
what are you gonna do her?
struggling. I got bills, man, and I'm not begging for money, but I'm saying what stops
He is begging for money. It's like, what you gonna do, man? First of all, if you took off work to come on this shit right here and you're not an influencer getting promoted or aren't getting paid by Jubilee, that's on you. That was your bad decision. He's like, hey man, you gonna break us? You tip $100 bills, I heard. What you gonna do for me?
you from being able to go and help us and change our lives.
That's hilarious.
Because
that's
Let me give you 100 while we're here.
Go take that shit, nigga. You fucking asked for it. At least you had the balls to ask for it. What you gonna do for me? What you gonna do for me? And he like, I ain't even gonna look at him. Hey, stop all that crime. Shit, nigga, stop all that fucking crime, man. Shit, come take this shit, nigga. What you, here, take this shit. You took off work, how much you making a day? Take this shit. This should sort you out. Don't worry about that. And it's like, now it's like, what do you do? I feel like, you know what I'm saying? Shit, I'm taking that shit. You already cried about the shit.
Thank you.
Don't buy marijuana.
No, I don't smoke.
At
I
the
don't
middle
drink.
school.
Bro, that's some billionaire shit, though. That we live in a digital era, but this nigga, he old, bro. He come from the world where everybody had cash. This nigga just walk around with probably like fucking $5,000 in cash in his pocket just because, bro.
Because
look at that wad.
Let me give you 100 while we're here.
That's just a wad of $100, bro. Ooh, he probably don't take that shit out of his pants when he get home. It's just like all of his suits just have random wads of money just in random pockets and shit. Fuck, I know I got a couple thousand here somewhere. Shit. God damn it.
Thank you.
Don't buy marijuana
No, I don't smoke.
at
I
the
don't
middle
drink.
school.
No, man.
Nothing stops me. Listen, here's how I look at it. I went to a religious retreat one time under duress. It was called a Crescio. And I thought it was going to be a bunch of bullshit, and it was basically a bunch of bullshit. But at the very end, it all came down to one thing that I took from that meeting. And here's what I took. I can't change the whole world. I would love to be able to. But the phrase that I took from that Crescio weekend was, bloom where you're planted. What does that mean? That means I can't solve hardly anything. But every once in a while, I'll get a God whisper, somebody asking. Then I think back to that Crescio, and it's like, bloom where you're planted. And I feel like at this moment, that's what I'm being asked to do. And I can only do so much. I'm trying to manage my money so that at the end of it all, it can have the greatest bang for its buck.
You know, if I'm being completely honest, I'm not sure if there's anything that would have been a perfect answer, just because he's really good at talking to you and he's a likable guy. And he's
a billionaire. So he's smart. Also, he's a lawyer. So he knows how to fucking debate, argue, use reverse psychology. And he's old. So he's wise. Y'all were outclassed by a lot. There was no way you guys were going to fucking like catch this nigga off and like guard and make him look bad or make him fumble. It was impossible. This is child's play to a guy like this.
Soft in the eyes, so it's easy for him to get you on his side. So I don't know if there's anything he could have said that would have completely changed my mind. But I think showing your actions, he handed me $100, but there were people in the room had told their stories throughout the day. And with a wad of cash in your hand, you could shut me up, but he could have given it to everybody.
You see, this is why it never ends, though. This is what they want. They want the billionaires to just give everybody all their money. And then everybody's like $1,000 richer. You know, well, not 1,000, maybe like $10,000 richer. But you're going to blow through that 10 bands. Because, you know, that's what people do. That's what they did with the COVID checks. So the answer is not get a billionaire to just divvy up his money. It's also not continue to sustain a system where we have this egregious level of wealth inequality. The answer is somewhere in the middle, obviously. But, hey, this guy's a W in my book, though. You know what I'm saying? He played the game and he fucking won. Shit, ain't that what we all trying to do? I know that's what I'm trying to do. Everybody's player one, bro. There is nothing that you cannot attain, nothing you can achieve if you believe in yourself and focus. That's all it takes. You just got to believe in yourself and focus. Live from the end. Every day, remind yourself, what is the mission? Simplify the mission. The less goals, the less targets, the easier it is to focus. And then every day, every afternoon, every night, remind yourself what the end goal looks like. And then start telling yourself you're already him. Because in telling yourself that you're already him, you're going to make decisions that he would make. The reason you're not where you want to be is because you're not who you need to be where you want to get. It's that simple. If you were who you needed to be, you'd already be where you're trying to go. You know? So, yeah. But this was a W ad, though. W promo. Shout out to John Morgan, the billionaire.